Adam, what's kind of stood out to you now that you've gone through a week of these OTAs?
Really been impressed with the play speed, energy, the attitude, the want-to. I've really, Thursday was really fun to be a part of. Just how fast those guys were moving. Going into a 4-day weekend, sometimes that practice can always be a little sketchy and, get a little lackadaisical. You just didn't see that. You saw guys really wired in, looking to get better. And yesterday was a, good pickup from coming off a 4-day weekend. And I thought the guys did a good job. A lot of defense, putting a lot of new stuff in, which was fun. So we had a good practice.
Jermaine Johnson wasn't there for the practice that we were in attendance for last week. Is he back this week?
No, he's not. He's not back. It's voluntary. He's been in contact with me. I know where he is. I know what he's doing, which he's done a great job as far as communicating with me. He's been here for the majority of the time. We should be getting him back next week. So.
How much is that you guys and Sam, playing against them every day?
It's been. Me personally, I've loved it because every day is a challenge. You're not really sure what you're going to get, and usually when you get some pressure, you get heavy doses of it, which is good for us to go through because those are the hardest things to deal with when you're, real time in games, weekly preparations. You start seeing all these different pressures, and going against Greg's defense, you're getting a lot of work day in and day out. I think it's great especially for Sam, being a second-year player. Some of the stuff he's never seen before, and he's getting to see it a ton in practice.
I know it's hard to evaluate linemen without pads, but what are your early impressions of Quinton? We didn't see him last week because he was sitting out.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to do a lot. We're going to get him back out there today and really see where he's at, doing individual, being available, in those special teams periods. So, we'll slowly work him back in. We're just trying to be smart with him because we don't want to have any setbacks with him. When you got a big guy with any kind of, soft tissue thing, you just want to be smart with it.
Did he originally, when did this injury crop up? Was it last week?
It was that first day. I think we got going, and I think he's been on the banquet circuit. So, it was just one of those things. We're just being precautionary. We didn't want to put ourselves in a bad spot to where we have setbacks with him. We want him to be able to get back out there this spring and get some work in, and then just set him up for training camp.
Which players have stood out to you so far?
It's hard to narrow it down. I know I've been impressed with a lot of guys on defense, especially that defensive line makes it extremely tough. They've been doing a good job of being smart, though. Both them and the line have worked well together. It's tough sometimes in OTAs to keep guys up and make sure it doesn't get out of control, because they're competitive. But those guys you see it. You can see why those guys have been good in the past. And CJ, Jamal, it's been good to get Marcus. We got him in some 7-on-7 stuff. So just getting him back out there has been good. And then offensively, just being around Sam and just kind of watching him progress through this thing, it's really exciting. I think Quincy and Robbie are really starting to come around with what we're doing. And we're trying to, keep doing variety and just keep pressing them to see how much we can do there. And, Chris has done a good job of coming along in the offense as well. I think the line is doing a good job gelling together and really playing well off each other. And they have a challenge every day. That's two competitive groups right there.
Adam, when you mentioned the play speed of an OTA, and that was apparent when we watched last week, I think we've all seen OTAs that have very little play speed at different camps. What does it tell you about your team or your players that they are showing that effort in May at an OTA?
I think these guys enjoy being out there. I think that really, it makes your job easy as a coach when you go out to practice. You don't hear guys complaining. You hear guys talking about what they have in that day. That's what you love about Jamal is he doesn't stop talking from the time you get out there, and he's talking to me, Sam, all the rest of the guys on offense, telling us what they're going to do, and it just makes it's fun to be out there. You can feel there's just some juice in the air, and the guys that have been here that they want to win. And I think they're just putting their head down, and they're working.
Adam, can you guys, I believe, have 5 requests right now out to interview potential general managers. Can you just provide an update in terms of if you heard back from any of those requests in terms of, you will interview them or they decline?
For me, just to be fair on, and I know you guys got a job to do, but just to be fair to these guys, we have to go through our process. Like, there'll be a time and a place to talk about all this, but for me to comment on any of that stuff, it's just not the right time and place.
A logistical thing, you might not be able to answer this, but when you guys plan on starting interviews, there was a report that it might start as soon as today or tomorrow, but,
I mean, it's the same,
fair enough.
just copy and paste what I just told him.
Adam, you said Marcus started some 7-on-7. Where is he just in his return from surgery, and when do you think he'll?
We're holding him back a little, we're being cautious. We do not want to have a setback with him, because you put those two guys back there together, that's a really good combination. So we're being very careful with what we do, because he doesn't have anything to protect him. The last thing we need is him getting competitive, going up for a ball, going on the ground, having any kind of setback. So we're just trying to be smart with that progression. You know, once we get in a training camp and we're able to protect him a little different, and he'll be at a way different stage at that point, that'll be good for us. But right now, we have to be very careful with him. We just cannot have any setbacks. But he's on schedule, or, you know, he's probably ahead of schedule. We're probably just being very cautious.
What about Brandon Bell?
He's been good. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's having any restrictions, and, you know, he's taking every rep.
Adam, when you guys signed Le'Veon Bell in March to the big deal, were you under the impression as the coach that he was gonna be here this offseason?
Well, I figured that he was going to do the same routine that he had been doing the last 2-3 years. I think it's been. You know, I knew that he was down in that Boca, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. Been working with the same guy for a while. I know he feels comfortable with that, which, you know, I'm good with, because I know once we hit training camp, he'll be ready to go, and, you know, that's what we need. The biggest thing for us as coaches, you want guys, when guys are here, you can give them so much more information. You can correct things, and you're really kind of getting ahead of the steps you need to go through in training camp. And thankfully, with iPads and everything, between meetings, you know, the film for practice, installs, everything's on there. At least you can keep up with what we're doing here.
Are you excited, I mean, kind of piggybacking off that, are you excited to have him in the building when that mandatory camp rolls around? Just, I mean, it's like a big toy to actually get to see it for your.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll just see kind of what we want to do that week, see what we want to pick on the defense with. See.
Leonard, look, maybe it was just a visual thing, but he looks a little slimmer than what he's been in years past. Is he just carrying the same?
I don't know. I mean, he looks big to me. I mean, he looks good. I love the way that he's been preparing, the way that his attitude, the way he's picked up the defense, the way he practices. I mean, he's really been impressive for me to watch. I'm glad I'm on the opposite side of what I've been, because it wasn't fun setting everything up to have two guys blocking him, 4 hands on him every play. And, you know, knowing that he's on our team is a good feeling.
Going against him, does he look a little quicker, though, this year than maybe?
He always played good against us, so he always looked quick to me. Like, he even said it to me. He goes, "I always played good against Miami." And I was like, "Great, that's awesome."
Adam, with Le'Veon Bell, is part of the reason he might be in Florida in the offseason related to taxes? They have no state income tax, and they have to establish.
That's a tough question.
Players have done that in the past, and you used to live there. There's no state income tax.
I don't know. You'll have to ask him when he gets here.
As Adam, Sam apparently has been watching some tape of that former Denver quarterback he used to work with. What can he pull away from watching some Peyton stuff, and how much does he actually watch?
Well, he's got access to everything. I mean, that's the great thing about technology nowadays. You can have so much film. You know, I think we have everything that we ever did since 2012. You know, when we were in Denver on and cut-ups, and he can watch concepts. I think he's just taking it in a little bit at a time. I think he's picking certain things to watch, whether it's a conceptual thing, protections, footwork, you know, certain routes. We have it broken down so many different ways. I just think he's trying to pick certain points that he wants to improve on, and kind of looking at what he did. I know he's watched some things with how Jay did some stuff too, because of their ability to move a little bit different. You know, those guys being able to kind of get outside the pocket and stuff. And then at the same time, I don't think he's overanalyzing anything. I think he's trying to take some of those finer points of some of the things Peyton did and implement those, but at the same time, still being himself.
How much does he ask you about this?
I mean, we have conversations every once in a while about what we were doing and kind of how he operated. It seems like we'll go through everybody that's been in it, and it's really about him putting his spin on the whole offense. And same thing with the skill guys, them putting their spin on what we do. We kind of give them the blueprint, and then we kind of morph into whatever our players can do.
Is there any-
We acknowledge Andy Dow and original nine.
Didn't you say 2 questions like 5 minutes ago?
Adam, last week, it looked like you were talking to Sam, like, almost with like a walkie-talkie.
Mhm.
When did you start doing that, and does that contribute to that pace of the session? Because it seemed like from upstairs when we were watching, it seemed like that made things move that much quicker, and I don't know why more people don't do it, but,
I think a lot of people do it.
Okay.
We started doing it in 13 just because play calling, you want to get used to hearing the person that's talking to you. And I know I was a different voice than what Peyton had before, because it was Mike before that. It was Tom forever for him in Indianapolis. And it was just getting used to it, because the way I might say something is different than the way Jeremy might have said something. And so just kind of getting to understand the verbiage and the speed, how you call the play. And it does help. Like, that's why we put the 40-second clock up there, to try to keep it real time. And so we can get in that kind of flow during practice.
You said it's been fun watching Sam develop over the last, however many months. Can you see differences between last week and this week in practice even, and where is that overall in his development?
You can see a confidence where a guy you can tell when we run a play maybe the first time, and then a week later, maybe it's the third or fourth time we've done something similar, and you can see just body language, throw it, timing, all those things. It just changes. And the more we do stuff, the more confident he's going to get.
Just from a installation standpoint, what percentage of your offense do you think you have in, and so what maybe were you putting in particular last week that you, and then maybe this week that you wanted?
Last week was more first, second, third down.
Okay.
And then this week, we kind of get into the red area, 2-minute, still on the first, second, third down. So it's just, we're adding as we go. We're not even close. I mean, we're piecing it in there, we're repping it, and this offense is a chameleon. It can blow up to a gazillion things. It can be minimized. It just all depends on what our players can handle, what we can do, what the quarterback kind of is feeling, what he likes. So the longer we go, the bigger it'll get.
I just wanted to follow the Peyton thing. Is there any chance you might invite him out at some point for training camp for a day, or just to observe? And
I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I know he's busy at this time of the year, so he's a tough one to get a hold of sometimes. But if he happens to be in town, his brother lives around here, so there's a good chance he might be around.
Thank you, everyone.
I guess.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, he is playing golf, Tiger.
Busy, hectic.